Good evening. It is Monday, November 14th. Welcome to Under the Hood. I am Eli Karp, host and also editor-in-chief of Throw the Flag Sports. Tonight with me are Gannon, Happy, Erik, and Rock the Barn. So we're kind of just going to go through our regular motions tonight. Again, we'll talk about the NFL just because we love it. Then we're going to move on to the Cubs because we've been dormant for a week or so, and we were off when they won their historic World Series. And then we're also going to talk a little bit at the end about the NBA season and how it's kind of started. So let's get into the NFL. And before we begin, I'd just like to say, if you're watching, please submit your questions. I will be looking for your questions, and we are more than happy to answer it. We have other people who are feeding us questions, so please feel free to shout us out your questions. It drives the show. We love it. With that being said, let me just pull up the questions box, and then we will get ready to go. But since we are talking about the NFL, who wants to give me a team that has really – it's primed to make a run at this point, not named the New England Patriots, not named the Dallas Cowboys? Not all at once. All right. I guess, anyone? Bueller? Rock the Barn?
I'm trying to think of something. Okay, here we go. I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm liking what the Oakland Raiders are doing right now. I know they had a bye week this week, but of course they had that big win against Denver. They've been looking for a win against a team above 500. They got the divisional win against the Broncos, and they could be in a position to win the AFC West. Of course, it's a tough division. You got Kansas City in there, as well as Denver. But Derek Carr, right in the thick of the hunt for Offensive Player of the Year, perhaps MVP. He's been tearing defenses up. Of course, he had that record-breaking game against Tampa Bay that went to overtime. He's been all over the place, and he's really carried this team. And their defense hasn't been great, but they've made stops at the right times and have kept the Raiders in games. So their offense can get the work done.
In the words of John Gruden, I like Derek Carr. So that has held true so far, and the defense has slowly improved, I'd say. It was pretty abysmal early on, and it's slowly kind of gotten better, although I wouldn't say Trevor Siemian is the watermark you'd use to test. Happy?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. So for mine, I'm gonna go with the New York Giants, just because I feel like this is their moment. They have a fairly easy 3-game stretch. The Bengals are their toughest tonight, but then they play Chicago and Cleveland, 2 of the worst teams in the league. If they could get through those 2 games, these 3 games, they're 8-3, and they could clearly. The 5-game stretch after that is pretty tough. They play their 3 teams in divisional who have over 500 records, and then also the Lions and the Steelers. But if they could get to this 8-3 stretch and win out maybe just 2 or 3 of those games, they have a very good chance of just securing a wild card spot, maybe even a division if the Cowboys start to fall, which is very unlikely.
All right. And I'm going to stop you right there for a second and just going to scan through some questions. We've gotten some nice chatter. We have a good viewing so far. And yes, hello, Thomas Kennedy, to you too. How will Odell do tonight? I guess I'll quickly take this. Cincinnati had a really good defense last year. This year has not been the same. Part of that has been that their secondary just hasn't been that good. And I think that the Giants have it hasn't been great, but they've started to slowly improve. So I'm not going to go a monster game for Odell. I'll go 120 and a touchdown. That's what I think. Happy, you see anything different?
No, it sounds about right. Depends. Yeah, I would go around the same, maybe 100 yards and a touchdown.
All right, we are in accord. What else do we have here? What do you think about the Broncos and Saints game? That was unbelievable. Who wants to take that?
Yeah, it was.
Gannon?
Oh.
Gannon?
What?
Oh.
Explain.
Oh, that was absolutely a wild finish to the game. I remember at the time that happened, I was actually over on another game. I think I was watching Chargers-Dolphins, I want to say. Or no, that was a later game. I was watching a different game at that time. It might have been the Vikings game still. But I remember seeing on the bottom of the screen the Saints had scored a touchdown. I looked at my dad and I said, the Saints just scored a game-winning touchdown. They beat the Broncos. And then just assuming they'd make the extra point, it's never a safe assumption in Minnesota. So I assume other teams have a safer bet on the extra points. And then all of a sudden it was 25-23. I flip over, I'm watching the replays. It was absolutely a wild play, something you see often in college football, not necessarily often, but it's something you don't see very often in the NFL, those crazy blocked kicks, and you never really know what's going to happen, I guess. It's why they say any given Sunday.
Yes. Question from our good friend and colleague Julia. Is a Raiders-Cowboys Super Bowl possible? Does anyone here see that actually happening in the first week of Eric?
Oh, I was going to say absolutely not because...
Well, hold on. Cowboys-Patriots?
Is that a question? Or well, I'm still not sold 100% of the Cowboys. The defense does look pretty good, but I'm still not convinced 100% yet. They haven't had one of the toughest schedules, of course, and Zeke is an absolute freak. Dak is going to be a good quarterback, but I'm not sure if they're ready quite yet. But I will think they'll go deep in the playoffs this year and maybe Super Bowl within a year or two.
They're 8-1. I don't know what more they have to prove to you.
Okay, three things.
They've had not a great schedule.
Okay, on that, Cleveland is the ultimate outlier. They are the skewing machine in all those. Like they could be in the middle of the pack, and Cleveland just right down. And two other things: the defense. They don't have any huge big name guys, but they just seem to be playing more than the sum of their parts, and that is pretty impressive. And I eat my words on Ezekiel Elliott. Obviously there was plenty of reason to be skeptical for a rookie to be ranked, 6th or 7th overall in the ESPN big board for fantasy. I see why. It pains me, but I eat my words. He is damn good. All right, what else do we have? Oh my God, so many things. Oh, from our friend Mr. Purple. Why do you think so many teams are going for 2-pointers? Obviously, namely the Steelers, who started it last year because they thought they could capitalize off it. And the 33-yard kicks are no longer a sure thing. Anyone else have something want to add? Move on to the next one. Nope. All right. Let's see. Wow, we're having quite the dialogue on here. All right. Let's see. It's like everyone's trying to be us, just answering their stuff. Danimal even admits that the Pats D is not very good. All right. I don't know who Evan Hayes is, but Zeke is an absolute freak. He likes those words. Diamond Sword, the Broncos will win.
Win what?
Santano is our good friend. Ezekiel Elliott is the best running back. I say, even yesterday, that was one of the greatest running back matchups we will have all year. Le'Veon Bell versus Ezekiel Elliott. Two great offenses, two at least decent defenses. Obviously Dallas has been pretty solid and Pittsburgh's has kind of been mediocre, but those offenses, wow, they are just humming like a Hummer. All right. Yeah, Diamond Sword, you get a shout out. There you go. Who gets MVP for Dallas? Dak, Zeke, or the O-line? Well, Spentano, I have to say, I read something on Twitter this morning that says if Zeke gets the MVP, or if he were to be the MVP, it's the O-line's MVP as well. So just keep that in perspective. All right. We just have so many questions flowing in. It is fantastic. All right. Anyone else talk about kind of contenders, pretenders? What do we think about the Indianapolis Colts? They run a bye week this week. But, man, yeah, sure, going into Lambeau and winning is nice, but when we look at what the Packers have really become, is there any reason to think that Indy will make the playoffs or can challenge Houston? Because granted, Houston got its first win on the road yesterday. Granted, it was not pretty, and it was versus a not-so-pretty team, which those interceptions off feet. So, do we think that Indy can challenge Houston?
No.
No? Coming from a Jets fan. Anyone else? Do we like what Indy's doing?
Oh, no.
I think Tennessee, the Titans, are better
Tennessee.
than Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
Tennessee's the bigger threat.
And I just think Tennessee's a little young. I mean, do I think that they're better than the Colts? Possibly, but I think they're a little young.
Yes, but
I
they're
just don't
starting
think
to really pick up
Minneapolis
the
defense
pace.
can be trusted
Everything.
against any of the big name teams.
Well, it's so great to see that Spentano is becoming friends with everyone on here.
Everything for the Titans so far is starting to click. Mariota is playing well, and DeMarco Murray, best fantasy running back behind Ezekiel Elliott, is also playing great. Their offense is just playing phenomenal, and they're pushing them into great positions. I mean, they could easily next week be in the first spot in the AFC South.
Well,
Next
a team that has, built itself on the run game but came across some Fitz magic last year has fallen on some Fitz tragic times, and our friend Julia asks, will the Jets fire Todd Bowles? Would it be warranted for the Jets to fire Todd Bowles after the season? Eric.
I'm going to say no because last year it was a little bit of Fitz magic, but that defense was very good last year. And that's his specialty defense coming from the Cardinals. I think he's been so bad this year, Fitzpatrick. As soon as, maybe Petty, maybe Hackenberg, maybe they'll get someone this year. Maybe if they get a quarterback, and Forte looks pretty good. I think they'll still be a pretty decent contender going in, towards the future, but if they keep Bowles.
I just saw something in the questions box that makes me question some things in life, and that is that somebody is on the Keenum card. Let that sink in for a second. There is something called the Keenum card. Please, whoever you are on the Keenum card, ride your way out of town on that thing. Because he's going to be on his way out, and Jared Goff is going to start because this team is going nowhere. They beat the Jets by 3 in one of the most ugly games there is. And Jared Goff has to be given a chance at this point.
Well,
otherwise you're kind of... Yeah.
The Rams coach said, I can't remember his name, but
Jeff
they're
Fisher.
trying to say
the perennial 7-9.
They're trying to save Jared Goff. They don't want to rush him into anything, which I really don't get. I mean, after the way Case Keenum played against the Giants in London, he should really start getting a look at as the new starting quarterback. It was the Jets, and it was a horrible game this week, but Keenum pretty much did nothing. I mean, it was a lot of, for both sides, it was a lot of 3-and-outs or one first down and then punt. The first game, they didn't score at all. They barely could get past midfield against the 49ers. He's just not looked good at all.
And why would you trade up to get him if you're going to start Case Keenum over him, not even get him snap until halfway through the season?
I agree. It's not like Case Keenum is the nephew of God. I mean, there's only so many people that can be given that title. And speaking of the first overall pick, we're going to talk about the second overall pick, and that is Carson Wentz, who did just enough yesterday, but after his first few games, he's kind of become more shaky. Do you think he's going to hit this rookie wall, and that Philly's going to kind of trickle down now? Because they've been good at home, but they've really struggled on the road. Let's give this to Happy.
I think Philly is sort of just hit their wall. They did get a win yesterday against the Falcons, but the Falcons' defense is really bad, and it showed yesterday. But, Carson Wentz, in the game against the Giants, he had those 2 late interceptions, and then he got it going, but he never earlier in the year. If Philly really wants to get back into it, which I don't think so. I think this division is too strong, and Wentz has hit that wall. He's just being overshadowed, and I think he doesn't have. I mean, Ryan Matthews was the only talent he really had yesterday. I mean, the receivers. I've never seen a receiving core so terrible in my life. I think the drop passes, and
And think about this: from this awful receiving core, Ruben Randall got cut. What does that tell you? All right,
Ruben Randall.
Quick interjection, and this is one of our most important questions we have to ask, and that is Gannon. Is Stephon Diggs the best wide receiver in the NFL?
Hey, he is the first receiver in NFL history to have back-to-back games with 13-plus catches. I know that's a ridiculous stat, but hey, it's an interesting stat to go home with today. He's not the best receiver in the NFL, but I think he's well on his way to being top 15.
Interesting, reserved. And this was an interesting question from, who was it? Mr. Purple. Will the Big Ten send both OSU, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State? I'm assuming that means to the playoff. And the answer is no. But here's how I think the scenario plays out. And Michigan made things very interesting because a lot of people thought that both teams would kind of ride into, or Michigan and Ohio State would ride in to the horseshoe, not having lost except for what they already had. So Michigan would go in undefeated, and Ohio State would go in with their one loss to Penn State. Well, Michigan kind of screwed things up, or say, Iowa's kind of screwed things up. And now Wilton Spade has a broken collarbone, so Michigan's a very good team, but I'm not sure I like where they're going. And I think that if Ohio State beats Michigan, which I'm kind of assuming they will, they found their groove. They will make it to the Big Ten championship. Will they? I think they will, right? Or will Penn?
There's no one else to stop them.
Well, no. Will Penn State make it to the Big Ten? Because I kind of assumed. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, because the Penn State kind of screws things up. I think they only have one loss in conference, which puts them at the top. And I mean, I'm assuming they won't lose again. I don't know who they're playing, but I don't. If Ohio State wins, maybe it's Penn State that gets to the Big Ten championship. They're going to probably play Wisconsin, and I would think that if Wisconsin beat a Michigan or an Ohio State, that Wisconsin would be a good enough two-loss team to get into the playoff. But if Penn State makes it there and they win or Wisconsin wins, I'm not exactly quite sure where this goes. I think the Big Ten could get left out if it's a Wisconsin Penn State Big Ten championship. Happy?
So, yeah, we both have it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Michigan. So all three teams have one conference loss. Michigan has their loss to Iowa. Ohio State has the loss to Penn State, and Penn State has the loss to Michigan.
Okay, and who's Penn State's remaining schedule?
Penn State, I believe, only has Rutgers and Michigan State left. Very easy schedule.
Okay, so they should theoretically
win through.
They should win out. And do Michigan and Penn State, have they played yet?
Michigan beat Penn State.
Michigan and Penn State.
Ohio State still has to take on Michigan.
Yeah.
Yes, so this makes things – Michigan's loss really makes things cloudy. It really does.
They play Ohio State 2 weeks from now.
Controls their own destiny.
All I will say is if it's not Penn State, which makes it to the Big Ten championship, and Wisconsin beats the winner, which is either Michigan or Ohio State, I think Wisconsin should get into the playoff, no question.
Oh.
Because even though they have 2 losses, they have been brilliantly coached by Paul Chryst. They don't have nearly as much talent as the other teams, but their 2 losses come to very good teams, which pretty much, except Louisville, can say with losing to Clemson, but their overall schedule has not been as hard as Wisconsin's, and each of those losses have been, if you can call them great losses, each by a touchdown, very competitive, in it till the end. And if Wisconsin is able to pull the upset on one of those 2 teams, if they make it there, I think Wisconsin should be in.
If at the end of the year, Eli, if at the end of the year Wisconsin wins out, as does Louisville, would you put Wisconsin in the playoff over Louisville if it came down to that?
Well, if Wisconsin is a conference champion, yes, I'd put them in over Louisville.
Despite the fact that Louisville only has 1 loss, and it's to Clemson, who's presumably headed to the playoffs themselves.
Well, it really depends.
It depends.
It depends on what happens.
I think I agree with the committee in that conference champions are very important.
What if Louisville wins the ACC though? If you ask me, they're just a shoo-in.
If Louisville wins the ACC, well, are they in a position to get to the ACC championship? I think they're in the same division as Clemson, and Clemson has the head-to-head.
Yes.
So I don't think they're in position to get there unless Clemson loses again.
Clemson.
I would still honestly.
But that's why I'm saying if I'm not huge on Clemson right now, but as at the moment, I think they're in. If Penn State happens to make it to the Big Ten championship and Wisconsin were to beat them, or Penn State were to beat Wisconsin, I really don't know how good Penn State is, or if Wisconsin were to beat Penn State. I don't think that win is valued as much as the other two, so I would consider putting Louisville in over them. But there is plenty of football left to be played. So I will leave this topic to rest unless anyone wants to make one final point, because we are getting lots of commentary on this side. I'm probably going to have to go through a bunch of things here.
Minka Fitzpatrick is the best defensive player to ever come out of Alabama.
Okay. All right. Eric, can you please start talking about the Cubs?
Oh, gladly. I think they're going to be a team that's going to be in the long haul and win a few championships down the next few years because they have a sick young core. Bryant's probably going to win the NL MVP this year. Rizzo is an absolute stud. And Arrieta is a great pitcher. Lester's still good. Players are around like 25 years old, like Lester and Lackey. And then they still have a pretty good bullpen with the Chapman. I don't know if he's still going to be there or not. But I still think they have enough young pieces down the farm and in the big leagues to make it a good few years for the Cubs coming up.
I agree with you there, but their bullpen is really not that good. I mean, Chapman can't play if, like, Lester's not doing well in the sixth inning. He can't go in the sixth inning because then you don't have him in the ninth inning. And the other pitchers are not overall that good.
I've been getting a couple interesting comments. Eli, please give Central Michigan some love. Well, they beat Northwestern, so they've beaten a Power 5 team. They're undefeated. Why not? We love Central Michigan. What are they, like the Mustangs or something?
Yeah.
And
wait, Central Michigan or
people
Western
are calling me out for being salty. I'm not sure what I'm so salty about, but I guess I'm playing right into their hands. All right, we got to move off the NFL. And Eric, thank you for the Cubs. So let's finish out tonight because we're going to get plenty more questions. The NBA, 1, the Knicks suck. 2, Andrew Wiggins had a great game. 3, take it away, someone.
It's
Rock
early.
Barn.
The Pacers are what they expected, what everyone expected them to be.
Oh,
The Knicks.
Rock the Barn is a new voice?
The Knicks are bad? I never knew that.
The Knicks are not bad, all right?
They're terrible.
It is early. Derrick Rose pretty much missed all of training camp. They've played like 9 games so far. It's 3-6 is not bad. I expected them to win 1 or 2 games so far. 1 more.
No.
It's very nice for me so far. How many? I think they won 19 games last year, and they're definitely going to exceed that this year. I just want them.
19.
They won 32.
They won like 30-something last year. They won 19 the year before.
Oh, that was
Yes. 32.
It was 19 2 years ago. That's when they.
Hold on, excuse me.
Yeah.
I just have to make one quick point. Diamond Sword, you are a Broncos fan, and you're also giving Golden State some love now. So I must ask, are you a Blackhawks and a Cubs fan as well? Or a Penguins fan?
Does he like to roll tide?
I'm telling you that. The New York
Roll
Knicks.
Tide.
Roll tide.
I'm telling you, the New York Knicks will start to pick it up.
Kurt Rambis was moved to defense, and players didn't really seem to care.
Ram is the worst coach in the world.
But hey, he was on ESPN as an analyst, so he clearly has credibility.
Oh, yeah, I saw it every other. No.
Derrick Rose will start to play better. They'll be fine.
He'll play better than he tears ACL.
Spantano's, loving his Grizzlies. Eric, I assume the Celtics are playing kind of pretty well as expected, right?
Yeah, they've been playing pretty well, but they've been playing terribly on defense for the last couple games. Like, excluding last game. There was like a 3-game stretch. Like, they let up like 41 points in the first quarter and 77 at halftime. And then they let Otto Porter score 34 points on them.
I love to recognize the fact that it's just hilarious whenever Eric decides that he can't stand one player, so he just singles out one player and goes after them. That might be my favorite part of this entire show, when he talks about Otto Porter, or who else was it earlier in the show? It was someone else.
Who knows?
Case Keenum. Case Keenum.
Oh my God, he's terrible. But anyway, but Horford, he's been looking good. He got hurt with a concussion. It'll probably be back. When's the next game? Wednesday. time. But I really like Rozier, our draft pick from last year, who I absolutely hated. James Young is still a bum. Isaiah Thomas still can cook. We still are not good rebounding. Oh, Jaylen Brown, he's going to be a stud within the next 3 years.
I think a big thing, moving off the Celtics, I'm kind of just drifting off. I'm just kind of remembering this Warriors statement. They're not that good. Warriors are not that good.
You want to take KD one-on-one?
I would say that.
24-0 last year, and you're 8-2 already.
Okay. The Warriors were never going to be as good as they were last year. That season defied all statistics. It's not possible for a team to just do that 2 years in a row.
It's like Leicester City. Just not impossible to replicate.
Oh, Leicester City's great. But
They're just. I don't think they're going to win this year.
I don't think people expected.
You don't think they're going to win?
Them to have less than 9 losses. Their goal this year is simply to win a championship. After last year, they kind of learned that the whole record it was a little too taxing on the mentally. I think that this year they're solely focused on winning a championship.
Oh, I have Warriors news.
But they acquired a new fan?
Scalabrine, that Klay Thompson is reported to be rumors that him going to Boston.
Okay, it's a rumors.
Klay Thompson?
Did you just say Brian Scalabrine for Klay Thompson?
No, Scal reported it.
Brian Scalabrine, as a reporter, is reporting that Klay Thompson on the block and the Celtics are interested. And I heard the same thing.
I still would have made that trade. Brian Scalabrine for Klay Thompson. Great deal.
Who would give up Scal for Thompson? Like, he's too good. But honestly, but we have to give up reportedly the Nets pick, and they're going to be awful.
Nets are surprising people.
And then Bradley.
The Nets are playing well.
How many wins do the Nets have? 3?
They're 4-5.
4.
5.
Oh my God!
The only team that can surprise people and still have a losing record.
And Jeremy Lin's been injured the past couple of weeks, so.
Oh my God! They have a better record. Oh my God!
Reality is hitting rock the bottom with all of his New York teams absolutely being disgusting.
Oh my God! Every New York sports team, I root for.
Okay, Gannon, one of our final comments before we have to sign off. Go ahead.
Me?
Yes.
As a Suns fan, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts on Devin Booker. Is he the next big star in the league? Because he's certainly shown potential.
He's not the next big star in the league, but he's going to be a damn good shooter.
No.
I think he's headed for an All-Star game in the upcoming years. So he's going to be Klay Thompson.
Oh yeah, he's going to be very good.
Yeah.
He and John Scott both.
He's not going to be the next Kobe, but he's going to be the next, I don't know, a second-tier star in the league.
I think he could have similar qualities like a Ray Allen, a lesser Ray Allen.
Why is Mr. Purple a random Bengals fan? If you're still there, please explain, because we kind of have to get off for the same reasons if you're still here.
Yeah, I mean.
But anyone else? Final comments on the NBA before we finish.
Oh,
okay.
DeMar DeRozan is a GOAT.
Oh, DeMar DeRozan is wonderful.
Joel Embiid's doing really well.
Joel Embiid's going to make it.
I heard that. The Pacers. That was disgusting. But Joel Embiid. I mean, he couldn't seem to find the court for 2 or 3 years. But hey, trust the process.
He's calling himself the process.
Wait, who else in that chat box like to say trust the process? Is that
was that 1 in 8 process?
That 1 in 8. I think he has 2 wins. Do hockey. All right, quick before we leave. Rock the barn. The Islanders on a scale of 1 to disgusting are putrid.
Jack Capuano.
That's pretty disgusting.
That sounds like an awful cup of coffee.
It really is. Jack Capuano this year. It looks like he has no idea what he's doing on the bench. He looks every time he calls a timeout. It just makes stupid plays. I mean, the assistant coach.
Well, 2 things. 1, when you're calling timeouts very often, that's not good in hockey. And 2, he looks like he's on crack every game with his hair. And like it looks like he just came out of a bathroom during the second intermission and just did a pile of crack.
I mean, it might be true because besides his hair, he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing on the ice. I think he forgets he's like at a professional hockey game.
Oh
The
my
Islanders
God.
overall are not playing well. The defense isn't playing well. And Yaroslav Halak, who I guess put all his energy and focus into the World Cup of Hockey, is not playing well.
Wait, let me just say, the
Yeah.
Giants have scored a
No.
touchdown
On the opening drive.
to Jarrell Adams, the rookie
I'm
tight end, number 89 out of South Carolina. I'm not even watching the game, and they've already scored a touchdown.
I'm watching the game. They just drove down the field like this.
Was it beautiful? Was it
It was-
beautiful?
And
It was the most beautiful.
he's going to go off tonight.
Okay,
of all purposes.
well, thank you for adding that, people. Thank you for tuning in and asking questions. That was fantastic. It's now time for us to go. Please catch us next Monday. Hopefully Danimal will be back, but we appreciate all of your support. Thank you, and good night.